couple of points I want to wrap up with today here on the program about President Trump's executive orders and these issues going on right now. Number one is the constitutional question: who's to blame in this situation? And number two is sort of where we go from here in terms of presidential authority. We played this clip before with Joel Griffith, but I want to play again Rick Santorum, former senator from Pennsylvania, being pressed on CNN about President Trump versus President Obama and comments that he had made back in 2014, very critical of President Obama for using his pen and his phone and doing executive orders that arguably are similar to what President Trump is doing right now.
A couple of executive actions are clearly fine. There's a couple that are not, and I would say that Barack Obama has set the precedent, and that's the problem. That's the reason that many Republicans came out when he was spending money on health care that he was not under Obamacare, that he was not permitted to spend under the act, but he was establishing the DACA program that was, again, not a legitimate use of executive power. Many of us stepped forward and said, no, you can't do this, and you're setting a horrible precedent that now Donald Trump is following. And so I find the hypocrisy of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, who applauded President Obama for using this unconstitutional executive action, are now complaining that President Trump is doing the same thing.
But I'm giving you... So that's Rick Santorum making his point. And a lot of critics on Twitter today have been all at Twitter about, oh my gosh, Rick Santorum today on CNN. Rick Santorum blamed Obama because he said Obama set a precedent against Trump and Trump is following it. Yes, to some extent, that's true. Barack Obama set a precedent and President Trump is following that precedent, but he's ramping it up. So President Obama takes a pot of money and moves it towards another purpose: Obamacare. He also gives a legal status, temporary legal status, to millions of illegal immigrants. You might agree that they should be given legal status because they came here as children through no fault of their own with their parents. You might agree with that, but that doesn't mean that the president has the authority or should be able to just do that unilaterally on his own accord. President Obama did that. President Trump is now saying, hey, look at what Obama's doing. What Obama did, I'm going to do that now because I'm seeing a stalemate. The situation in Congress isn't going the way I want. We're not getting action done, so I'm going to take it upon myself to do so. And we'll see if the Democrats actually challenge this in court and potentially rip away unemployment benefits from millions of hardworking Americans. That seems to be the pitch from President Trump. So yes, he's looking at Obama as a precedent setter, but that doesn't mean that Obama is responsible for this, because Donald Trump is still making the decisions to unilaterally put into place 4 executive orders that on policy grounds alone he should not do unilaterally, and arguably Congress shouldn't even do. But also there are questions about the statutes and whether he has legal authority to do so. And also there's the question of the constitutionality here. There are 3 people to blame, or 3 entities to blame here. Barack Obama set an initial precedent with his executive orders. President Trump is building upon that precedent. And he's the president. He's the one who's making this decision. He's the one ultimately responsible. But that doesn't mean that Barack Obama doesn't have some blame or culpability here. But then there's also Congress. Let's presume for the moment that the Trump administration is on legal ground, strong legal ground, in these executive actions, in saying we have statutory authority. Congress allows us to do this. Then Congress is culpable for allowing it to happen. If President Trump is indeed on strong legal ground here, and different minds differ on this, but let's just presume that he is, That's Congress that's responsible for giving him the authority. Time and time again, Congress has granted power to President Trump, President Obama, President Bush. The list goes on because they don't want to deal with particular issues. We were talking a couple weeks ago with Professor John Yoo, who has his new book, Defender in Chief, talking about President Trump and President Trump's view of the Constitution and also the presidency. And most of the executive orders and executive actions that President Trump has taken have been rooted in law. Congress has authorized it. Doesn't mean he should do it. Unilaterally putting tariffs on countries like Canada last week. He shouldn't do that. Unilaterally pulling funds from one area for the border wall. He shouldn't do that. Seems to be authorized under statute. Congress, we cannot let Congress off the hook. Congress is culpable here. Congress needs to get its act together and rein in the president. Some of these actions that President Trump has taken are indeed allowed under the law. And Senator Ben Sasse can't just say, oh, this is unconstitutional slop. He needs to actually do something about it. Take action. Lead on reining in presidential power and saying Congress needs to reassert its authority. Here are my proposals to do it. We need more of that from Republicans and Democrats alike, to not just complain about Trump doing something or Obama doing something if it happens to be authorized. A lot of times it doesn't. And I would contend some of these things, like the DACA effort on the part of President Obama and Trump with his unemployment provision, that they're not even authorized under statute. But even if any of these things are, if you're complaining about it and it is allowed under the law, actually do something about it. Take the reins. That's what we need as much as anything else, more than anything else, is for Congress to reassert its authority and its position. Moving forward, there's going to be a deal. They'll strike some sort of a deal, Republicans and Democrats alike, and move forward with a broader package. It'll probably cost, sadly to say, more than $1 trillion. It'll probably be geared towards stimulating the economy, or intended to, but mostly just keep it afloat or perhaps prolong the malaise, as we've seen in the past with the Great Depression and the Great Recession, and how government policies negatively impacted the recovery efforts to get things rolling again, to get the economic gears rolling again. But we can't just say, oh, they've reached a deal. Maybe President Trump gets rid of certain executive orders as a result. Maybe he doesn't. Moving forward, we need members of Congress to reassert their role in the lawmaking process. Because this kind of thing does happen on strong legal footing from statute. But that doesn't make it constitutional, or it doesn't make it right. And Congress can't just complain. That's why they do this. They give this authority to the president in various areas because they don't want to be held accountable. We talked about this with Professor Yoo of Berkeley Law. These politicians in Congress want to pass the buck on to the president so they can complain when he does something that they don't want him to do, but secretly they're just glad that he's the guy making the decision and they don't have to actually do anything about it. Rarely ever do they do anything about it. And they need to start reining in the power of the presidency and the executive branch when it comes to all of these different administrative agencies. This is a tipping point in our society. We have to start righting the ship. Otherwise, we'll continue off course, regardless of who's president of the United States. Thanks for watching this clip of Jimmy at the Crossroads. Don't miss more engaging, intelligent talk. Subscribe today to the Jimmy at the Crossroads YouTube channel. You do not want to miss our live show. Thanks for your support.
I got Jimmy at the crossroads, making sense out of no sense. Yeah.
Awesome.